it's safe to say that whatever comes out of the media is pretty much what the establishment wants you to think. I mean, logically, that just makes sense, okay? Because if somebody's controlling the information and it's all the same everywhere you look, obviously they want you to believe that information, okay? So even though in the articles they do talk about, you know, how a lot of people disagree with Mr. Hawking, the way they phrased the titles of the articles really suggested that they were trying to kind of, you know, make another declaration out there saying, you know, like in this CNN article, it was Stephen Hawking, God didn't create the universe. Okay, then from the Wall Street Journal, why God did not create the universe. And then from NPR, no God needed to create universe, Hawking says. Your thoughts? You know, NPR, your thoughts? And then from the Telegraph in the UK, has Stephen Hawking ended the God debate? Let's see. Oh, and then this article that came out just a few days ago, like a week ago, God no longer male, from the Scottish Episcopal Church rules. So it's pretty apparent that, you know, regardless of what you believe or what the media believes, that they're throwing this bubblegum out there thinking, you know, somebody's going to pick this up and it's just going to affirm in their mind that God is still debatable. It's like, it's just sort of a passing fancy. You know, it's not really that big of a deal, you know, and for some, this is the end-all be-all for them. You know, they'll read Stephen Hawking, God didn't create the universe, and they'll be like, hell yeah, see, I told you guys. I told you. I mean, it's right here, CNN, okay? But what does this article say? You know, it doesn't say much because apparently it's all in his book. But, you know, the article opens with, God did not create the universe, world-famous physicist Stephen Hawking argues in a new book. And Hawking says that grand design, given the existence of gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing. And spontaneous creation is the reason why there is something rather than nothing. Okay, and then it's not necessary to invoke God, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's pretty much all it says. Okay, like, because of gravity, you know, they don't even bother to explain this for you. You know, because they don't really care what you think. You know, because it's not designed to give you any information that really is going to spark any further research or thought. It's more about just that it's bubblegum. Talking about God is just coffee table talk. You know, it's just whatever. Let's move on. Let's move on to the stock market. Let's move on to whatever else. You know, this is just not a big deal. But then, you know, a little later in the article, they go in and says, well, they say, well, he comes to these conclusions based on M theory, which is a theory that's a continuation of string theory. You know, but instead of 10 alternate dimensions, there are now 11. Okay, so, but if you look into M theory, it's still a theory. There's no proof. Okay, they can't really test these things out. But, you know, it's just, but that's just how it goes. Okay, so that's pretty much my point. I don't want to get into the science of it. You can totally buy the book. You know, you can look up M theory online. You know, they'll spell it out for you. You know, the point I'm trying to make is it's pretty clear that you know, the institution does not really care about whether or not you believe in God. In fact, they will try and deceive you, unfortunately. And I mean, that is just a fact of life. And I don't want to sound like the bad guy or anti-establishment, because I am not the bad guy. I am just, a guy who has been looking for some answers, and I've found some answers that make sense. But then when you compare those answers to what is coming out of the machine, nothing makes sense anymore. All that makes sense is that none of the machine is making any sense, okay? And they're not helping us out, okay? They're not leading us to the light, all right? And that's pretty much my point. And then I wanted to come to this article that I found the other day, and out of CNN Health. And apparently some doctors and scientists have been messing around, and they've come to the conclusion that magic mushrooms may ease end-of-life anxiety, okay? So tripping out on your deathbed is now, a good thing. It's something that they will prescribe for the terminally ill. And I'm dumbfounded. I just can't believe what's happening because, again, no mention of God, no mention of purpose, no mention of spirituality, spirit, no mention of anything of the sort. It's just, It's the final FU is what this is. It's like, just trip out, man. Just get high, okay? To the point where you're feeling good and the room is breathing and you're hallucinating and all the rest of it, and dying won't be so bad. I mean, I cannot believe this, but that's what we get. That's pretty much how it's going down. So, and they asked the question, can psychedelic drugs treat depression? I mean, seriously, man. I mean, I can't even fathom this article, really. It's just hard to comprehend that they could put this out and stand by this. But once you know what the end game is, all the rest of it makes sense. So I guess I can understand this. I mean, I guess I really do understand what's going on here, okay? Because they are promoting a concept of life that is completely void of God and purpose, okay? Totally void of those two things, and makes perfect sense based on the way modern society has evolved. On top of the foundation of evolution, makes perfect sense. So, life has become this sort of perpetual easing of pain and this fleeing from sacrifice, because it's instant gratification. In our world, it's all about feeling good, finding pleasure, doing what feels good and what feels right, listening to your heart, listening to yourself. And this has been the modern doctrine. I mean, it's in songs, it's in movies, it's in religion, and that's pretty much how life has played out. And now they're telling you to get high right before you die, okay? Not just get high, but trip out. I mean, that's like high to the nth degree tripping, okay? So, I mean, if any of you really believe in spirituality and an afterlife, and you have to then believe that there is a God, because, if there is divinity, there must be supreme divinity. And do you think supreme divinity wants you to end it in a blaze of tripping glory? I don't think so, okay? Just based on simple logic, that does not seem logical to me. But apparently, to some people, that does seem logical. And what are you going to do? So there has definitely been a deterioration in morality, in direction, in purpose. People just don't have a clue really anymore, and they're too poor and stressed out to figure it out, to even bother thinking about it. I mean, any free moment they can find is going to be devoted to finding this pleasure and easing their struggle. Okay, but meanwhile, as Rome burns, this is where we are. But yeah, again, we've seen another onslaught of articles coming out in the news lately having to deal with abuse in the Catholic Church. And again, this is no secret. Apparently, this has been going on for decades and for centuries. Okay, there are documentaries out there about this, all kinds of websites, all kinds of actual court cases. I mean, it's just, there seems to be no end to the abuse and pedophilia and homosexuality that is running rampant in the Catholic Church. And I just wanted to just reference a couple articles that I came across recently from like a week ago. This one entitled "Priest Sex Abuse Linked to 13 Suicides in Belgium." Okay, I mean, that is just horrible. Church, turn to the church for guidance, for support, for purpose and direction in life, and instead, this is what they get. This is what they get. And I don't know if a lot of you, or you're probably not familiar with the Marc Dutroux case that happened in Belgium, but apparently Belgium is no stranger to things like this. In fact, they have been horrified to a grand degree in the past. And back in the mid-'90s, this man Marc Dutroux was finally arrested. Okay, I say finally because it took a while. A lot of things went down to hinder his arrest, but he was finally arrested after the police found 2 girls living in cages in his basement, in Belgium. And apparently this man was connected to a whole lot of other people that were well connected, and it just it made evident the fact that the sex slavery ring is thriving. It's alive and well. It's really happening. People are out there doing these malicious, odious things, and a lot of it is just incomprehensible. But this stuff is really happening, okay? And then another article here I came across. Magazine, and this is from the Irish Times. Magazine exposes double life of Vatican gay priests. And this article talks about how a lot of the priests at the Vatican are in fact gay, and there's actually a quote in here where somebody claims that 98% of the priests he knows are homosexuals. So that's pretty much what's going down. Okay, it's just this is life. It's getting worse for all of us. The economy is melting down. There's no end in sight to that. Meanwhile,